Hey folks, welcome back to the table. So this is going to be a real quick video. I didn't have any time to play tonight. It's already really late. I should not even be doing this quick video, but I do think about this game all the time because I'm having fun playing it, and I just want to play. Like I said, I wanted to take the whole day off, and sure enough, I'm now ending my day and didn't even get to play it once. But I did want to cover one topic. Somebody wrote in, my apologies, I'm not remembering names real well, but they gave me a big epiphany. And remember, I kept saying I'm trying to get to a point where I have these rules down well enough that even if I'm not quite at perfect levels, I'm at least at perfect enough that I can do a second playthrough and people won't be turned off by the amount of mistakes, etc. Well, there's still a few more mistakes being made. I don't want to call them minor mistakes, but they're the kind of mistakes that, now that I know about them, I'm just basically honing my craft of the game, or the mastery of the game. And but they're definitely mistakes. So let's talk about them real quick. Wanted to get them also out of the way right away because I know people have been commenting, and sometimes I fix a mistake and then 3 or 4 days goes by, and then somebody new comes along and starts commenting on stuff that was already fixed. And it's funny because when I read them, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, oh my gosh, we already resolved that. Just keep watching, dude. But then, I'm also understanding that, that for that person, they're watching it in real time and they're trying to help. And so don't worry, no judgment or worries there. I always appreciate the comments. But I like getting these videos out because usually when one of you finds an issue, several other ones also find the same issue. So that's why I want to get this out. Anyways, one thing I realized on my own, and then there's 2 or 3 things that somebody explained to me. Let me do the one I realized on my own first. Well, and then another one is an answer to someone's question. Somebody asked if there was just a step-by-step of the overall direction of the game. And the answer is yes. It's the back of the rule book. See how it says daily sequence of play? I probably should use this more with you guys. I think the reason it's being brought up is because down here at the end, see the first bullet there, return all combat chits to the cup. I just want you to know I did that. They're in the cup. I have not even shuffled my cards or moved to the next day or any of that nonsense. I did it right away just to help my friends from Scandinavia who are watching and very involved and constantly reminding me that I forget to do that step. So thank you. I definitely forget. And so thank you for always being understanding. Okay, so the more in-depth stuff that's going on is, if you recall, there was this card, Germans Exposed, this one. And I had to pause the video and it resulted in this unit getting hit and then me saying that this whole thing acts as a stack and this guy did not get hit. All of that was done perfectly. The one thing that was explained to me, and then this is linking to the second item with Elite Attack and Germans Exposed. Here's the thing. When there's a stack of units here, I've been correctly teaching that, see how it has the number 3 at the bottom, and then the number 2 is at the bottom of that, and then the other one's number 1. So if I had a card like this that said 1 through 19, I would start at number 1, then go to number 2, and then go to number 3, right? So I would activate each unit one at a time and then do things. The mistake I've been making is, well, first of all, that is perfect to do that. The mistake I've been making is not reading the cards for literally. And there is a section in the rulebook that somebody pointed me to that finally made it click for me. So thank you for that. And here's the thing that I've been missing. See here it says unit/stack. So the rulebook is very clear that when it has that terminology, that if the lead unit that comes up is in a stack. So for example, if we start at number 1 for this, you can see here there's 3 units in this stack. Number 1 happens to be at the bottom, right? So in the past, I would say, okay, it's number 1's turn. Let's see if he can do the action, right? And then I would go to number 2, and then I would go to number 3. Well, when the command card says unit/stack, then the entire stack is going to act along with unit 1. So even though the unit 1's the leader or the lead, the entire stack will act. And so for the Germans exposed, the whole stack did that action, but then after the action was over, each individual unit is going to determine whether it advances or not, because the action was at a stack level. So you can see, and it's also moving to just 1 German unit or stack as well. And so that is the first piece. I know it may seem subtle, but it has come up multiple times in the last couple turns or days of this game, where I was activating units 1 at a time, and it really should have been the whole stack. Another interesting scenario that I confirmed in the rule book, nobody mentioned it, but because they pointed me down the right path, I figured it out on my own, is I think it's this stack right here. So this stack right here, let me pick it up and show you. Here you can see, get the focus in, this is the 5th corps, and that's the 5th corps, right? And then this is the 18th corps. So one of the things I've gotten lucky. I've not needed to, but I've been making the mistake of saying, okay, this one is 3 points of strength, this one's 3 points of strength, and then making a decision on this when the 5th corps activated. Well, what the rules are saying is even though this guy is not a part of the corps that's being activated, if he's in the stack, the card says unit/stack. So the entire stack becomes a part of the action, including the unit that was not a part of the corps. So the lead unit is this little number at the bottom, right? So let's say that that's the lead unit, the number 11 there. We go through the corps units to figure out who the lead unit is that's going to activate, okay? But once you figure out who activates, once he activates, you then follow the command card, and if the command card says stack, then that lead unit and his entire stack will act. Now, obviously, anybody that's in that stack with them doesn't activate later, right? Because they're part of that activation. But that's how this works. And so that's a fundamental thing I wasn't getting quite right. And so somebody noticed that and was able to explain it to me. And I found that extremely helpful. Now, the other thing that I was doing that's also very interesting, and I was doing it more up north, because remember, these guys were never strong enough to attack. But I'm going to just keep the camera down here because I just don't want to move it. This elite attack has come up several times. Remember where it says the unit stack has to have a strength greater than 2x of approximate German. If elite, it just needs to be equal, okay? So in the past couple of turns or days, you've easily seen me say, okay, this guy has, let's just say he has 8 strength. I think that is what he has. And then I was adding up these guys, and then I was saying, okay, this one can move in, so I added his strength to that strength, and I was adding up the strength of everybody that could attack this to see if I could overcome, the strength of this German unit. That's not what the card says. The card says the unit/stack strength has to be greater than 2x. So what that means is that this stack by itself has to be double this stack or it doesn't attack. Even though this guy can move in to reinforce and help out, he will do that if he's not breaking, gap and other issues. If he's available to move, he will help. but the attack will not be initiated unless this stack alone has enough strength to overcome that. So that's the first half of the mistake. Okay, so I was actually making it harder on myself because I was going through and figuring out, I mean, I do need to figure out who can reinforce the battle, right? This guy possibly could reinforce the battle. I know he might have to stay here because of preserve the line, but you get what I mean, is that he could move in to reinforce the battle, and I do still have to figure all that out, but I don't have to start figuring that out until I confirm that this is double the strength of that. So I don't need to go figure out all the possible candidates and then start adding up all their strength from multiple locations. That's not what this particular command does. So that was definitely a mistake. I did not interpret it that way, and upon further review, there was no reason I should have. So, so excellent catch there. But it's not over. The next thing that happens, so see how this says the unit stack strength is greater than 2x the proximate German unit stack. Okay. Let me find another card that has the words I'm looking for, and then it'll make total sense. Oh, come on. I know this card exists. Give me a second. I'm going to put this card down so I can have two hands. And I apologize, I didn't find it. Not yet, at least. Okay, I don't know why I'm not finding it. This is another good example, though. See how it says strength of the unit slash stack and other active units are greater than 2x proximate German unit stack. In that situation, that's when I would look at other units around and see and get to add them to the equation. Oh, excuse me. I know it's late. But I don't know why I can't find the card that's telling me what I'm looking for here, but there's a keyword called situational strength. And I know it came up because the person who commented had mentioned it specifically, and I remember even seeing it in one of these cards, but I don't see it right now because see how it says unit stack strength greater than blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you'll see it say situational strength. And maybe it's like an advanced card or no, it's not that. Somewhere in here is a the term situational strength, and I treated that like a normal strength keyword, and I knew I shouldn't have because situational strength does mean something completely different. So. Oh, it's Germans exposed. Here we go. Unit stack proximate to a German unit stack with situational strength of 2 or less. See that word situational? So when we used that command, we destroyed this unit that was here inside of the woods. He had a 2, just like this one did. Actually, he was injured once. So he had a 1, I think, on him. So he was a 1 in brackets, like that. Okay? So I went there and I said he only has 1 strength, and so boom, he got hit, right? It says situational strength of 2. Situational strength is not just the strength that's written on the unit, it's factoring in other factors like the terrain that it's sitting on. And I'll show you, it's actually in the, I did not find it in a player aid, which is one of the gripes I have with the player aid. It should be there as far as I'm concerned. The fact that it was missing from the player aid is why I missed it. And it upsets me quite a bit because it seems like a really important check that you need to do. But here it is. It's in the other player aid that came with the game. Right here. Allied situational strength check. It is right there, folks. It's just that it's in the AI allied chart. It's not in the one that I use for battles. So I'm not going to gripe about it. It's there. I just never noticed it. But there it is. So the allied strength gets modified based on whether they're attacking across the river, just like ours would be. However, the combat strength of the Germans is modified by these. So, for example, if they're in a non-VP town, forest, or IP, they get a +1. If they're clear, out of supply, or out of fuel, they get a -1, and if they're isolated, they get a -2. So as you can see, though, that's not going to save our poor German unit that got removed over there because they were just in the woods, and the woods is not enough. They need to be in the forest. But see how it has these +1s and -1s and whatnot? That gets added to their strength. And if the situational strength is greater than 2, like in that situation, then the German unit would not get hit. So even though his strength is no higher than a 2, the situational strength was. And sometimes when we're looking at these and determining whether or not the Allies are going to attack, that word situational is actually going to be in there, and I need to be more attuned to it. As soon as I saw the word strength, I just went straight to a strength check, right? And that was very, very wrong of me to do. Now, one of the things I noticed is I was like, okay, well, is this in the player aid that I use? Because sometimes I use this Board Game Geek player aid, and sure enough, it is. I need to find it again, so my apologies there. It's under the Allied attack sequence section. So they have this nice blue section here to describe what all the keywords mean, right? So, you know, if you see the keyword avoid surround, and maybe I should take some more time to slow down and read those when we encounter them so you can see them too. Like, you know, there's what preserve the line means and protect the VP hex. But right there you can see situational strength has its own definition, and it's only used to determine eligibility. It's not used for combat. And you can see the Allied combat strength is modified if they're attacking across a river. And here you can see the same modifiers, +1, and then -1, -2. And it's telling you that it's never below a 1. So you can't go to 0 or anything crazy like that. And then, like, if you see the keyword strongest, you see that there? It implies situational strength. So if we ever see the word strongest in here, it is not just comparing the strength of the 2 units. It is comparing the situational strength of the 2 units. So that is a huge change. Now, do I think it impacted my game at all? No. In fact, the person who gave me the feedback said that they think I did the right things, ultimately. But what they were seeing is that I was calculating all these things that I didn't need to calculate. Or I was looking at units I didn't need to look at, etc. So they were noticing that I wasn't, even though I was making the right decisions, I was using the wrong information. And I completely agree. Because I can assure you, I was not aware of this situational strength table or these things. And I should be. I mean, I read the rules twice or 3 times. But, and then let's bear in mind that if the word weakest comes up, it also uses situational strength. And then here is the part I laughed at the most. If it says unit/stack, it's the unit plus any active or inactive units stacked with it. It's even in here. And so, yes, I wasn't doing it that way. I was always looking at it as that lead unit, would activate, and then he would just do his actions independently of everybody else in the stack. So I just need to be very mindful of those rules. And if you're playing along at home, or your game is on the way because you paid so much money you can't afford my watch anymore, the page you want to go to is 27. So this is under Allied Activations and Action Cards, which is really a boring read. Because every time I've read this part of the rule book, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Let's move on. And it's really funny because that's, of course, the one spot where I was missing something, right? But the part that really matters is right here. How do you find the action subject, right? You get this action card, and now you're trying to determine who or what is impacted by it. So it tells you that if it's a unit, you do this. If it's a unit/stack, you do that. If the subject is a unit/stack and other active units, then you do something else. And so I was playing this situation right here as if it was this situation, the unit, but I was also including other active units whenever I thought reinforcements were needed. Okay, so if it said unit/stack with reinforcements, I was playing this as if it was that, and then adding this to it. So I was doing everything wrong. But anyways, it's really well described here. I mean, it doesn't, it's not earth-shattering or anything, and they do give an extremely convoluted example. If you can sit down and take the time, it does help a little. I was telling somebody who was chatting with me that this is the kind of game where I can read the rules 12 times, but until I've do an example and somebody tells me, hey, you did this wrong, it's almost like going to school and having the professor do math problems on the chalkboard so you can learn from them, right? They gave you a word problem to work on the night before. You thought you had the right answer. And then you find out you don't have the right answer, and you're like, I don't know what the right answer is then. And then they show you how to do the problem on the board, and you're like, oh, I get it now. And that's what this game is like for me. I need to see these examples play out, and then that's what I'm hoping these videos are doing for some of you, is that as you're watching, you're seeing that this get better and better. I mean, my gosh, video 10 through 18 of this particular playthrough are atrocities, now that I know what I know now, right? I feel a lot of pity for the fool who would, watch those and then say, hey, I know how to play the game now. But now these are actually more complex turns anyway, so I'm glad I'm getting it better now. But anyways, back to this. There is one more thing, and that's on page 30. Right here, situational strength. It actually has its own section, and you can see here everything's broken out into a bigger table, but it's saying the same thing. So it's there. It's all there. It's just it's just a lot. That's all. It is important. I'm going to forget this one. The shattered core concept. If there's only one unit left on the map for a particular core, you don't actually activate. I mean, I know we don't have that situation, but that's why I'm going to forget. Because we don't have that situation, and we might not for a long time. And yeah, we already know this. They don't perform actions, but they're always going to activate because their activation is to remove the dispersal marker. So anyways, that's all I have for you. So from oh, no, one more thing. That's the thing I caught. These cards that we play with. So when I draw them, remember I keep checking for fuel checks, right? You know, are we out of fuel? Or are we not out of fuel? And of course you can see here, these primary cards are primary. They're going to stay with us the whole game. But these secondary supplemental cards, though, are a different animal. So, for example, like I've been getting diligent about checking, you know, right here on turn 21, this particular division ran out of fuel. And speaking of which, now that we're at the end of our turn, we got to remove all of our out of fuel markers. So if I forget to do that tomorrow, when I continue playing this with you guys, feel free to beat me up for not even remembering my own rule. But so anyways, as you can see, these are all fine. Well, let me go through. Oh, there's got to be one out here. Maybe this is why I haven't broken the rule yet, but I totally forgot to even look for it. I think some of you know what I'm looking for. I know I'm trying to keep it all secret. You know what? I saw it on the Allied cards. Maybe that's why. It was on the Allied cards. So what I'm trying to describe to you is there's an actual expiration date on these cards. So if we hit that expiration date, then the card actually gets removed from the game. Come on. Did I just fly by it and not even see it? Because I'm too busy talking to you and I'm too tired? Am I looking in the wrong place? Oh, come on. I know these cards exist. Oh, you know what? They're on the Allied Action cards. That's where I saw them. Right here, look. Remove December 22nd. This pullback card. Okay? So that's going to get removed on December 22nd. And that one gets removed on the 24th, the 25th. So I'm supposed to remove those when they come up. And thankfully, we're not on December 22nd yet. So my apologies. I thought it was actually the action deck. Well, it is the action deck. So this is the action deck, but I was mistakenly thinking it was the command deck. So it's the action deck. We just have to pay special attention to these remove by dates. You know, the milk gets spoiled and we got to remove them. But it just shows the changing AI for the allies as the battle went on. So anyways, there is a German deck that we use for whenever we're doing the Allied solo game, but I'm not even going to try to start thinking about that one right now. I want to continue to master this one, or at least become an apprentice. And anyways, thank you so much for watching. There's 28 minutes. You'll never get back, but I hope you found that helpful. It was a good rules discussion, and yes, I got another day of work tomorrow, so I'm not sure when I'm going to get to play this again, but I'm hoping to do it very, very soon. So thank you for watching. Stay awesome, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.